and it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Doug Tolley. This man has been around the block a few times in the UC space. He has sit on numerous advisory committee or councils, including ShoreTel, Cisco, Mitel, and Avaya. He speaks with VARs at conventions like this, and also through part of his partner channel, which belongs to VxSuite. He's seen the opportunities, he's seen the struggles, and he is prepared now standing presentation for us today. So with that, it's my pleasure, absolute pleasure, to introduce to you the 2006 Time Magazine Person of the Year, Doug Tolley.
We have the opportunity, thanks to the generosity of Telarus, Microsoft, Comcast, and others, to have gone around the country and do these kinds of talks for the last 6 months-ish. If I have any expertise today, it's this. I speak to 1,000 value-added resellers and managed service providers a year, either face-to-face or in meetings like this. We speak at the International Avaya Users Group. We go to the ShoreTel show and participate there. We went to Cisco Live and participated there. We had a presentation at the Worldwide Partner Conference for Microsoft. We had participation at Microsoft's Link conference, the first ever Link conference this last year. We spend our time at LVM with value-added resellers, managed service providers, and some of these trade show events. And so if we have any expertise, it's because we've spent a lot of time in these areas talking with business owners and people who are trying to really make this stuff happen. And what I'll share with you today is some of the observations we found having worked with all of those people. Doug just reminded me, let me turn that off right there. That would be embarrassing. So if we have any expertise, it's because of our experience in talking with all these people. So as we look at the state of unified communications, here's the problem. In about 2000-ish, Cisco came out with the first voice over IP phone. It's right around there. We could have a debate about exactly when it was, but right around the year 2000. So that's getting on 15 years ago. There was this sort of new revolution. And here's what they told you. And they told me, they lied to all of us, that it was going to be cheaper because, hey, it's just another application running on the data network, right? It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be faster to deploy. It's going to be easier and just as robust as copper. That was what they told us all. They said, hey, this new technology is going to be spectacular. It's going to be faster, easier, cheaper, just as robust. Here's the problem. Those are all not true. In fact, they're absolutely not true. It's not cheaper. I saw a study the other day that said 75% of the cost of a unified communications system, new unified communication system implementation, comes up front in the planning, the preparation, the understanding what the environment looks like. And the other 75% of the cost comes post-implementation when you have to do all the maintenance and monitoring and figure it all out. Now, even from an idiot from Idaho, I can figure out that's more than 100% because these things always cost more than we expect. They're not cheaper. Easier to deploy? If they're easier to deploy, would people like Tyler have a bunch of letters after their names? Absolutely not. This stuff isn't that easy to deploy. And even if you know network and you don't know voice, that's hard. And if you know voice and you don't know network, you're dead. I mean, it's really actually not as easy as it sounds to just put in some stuff and see what happens. It's certainly not faster to deploy. These projects take years. I was working with a partner on a project in North Carolina. They've been working on this sort of Link voice conferencing rollout for years, literally years before they brought in some consultants. The state of Arizona uses our VxSuite tools after a 3-year evaluation process to decide if they really needed them, which they did from day one. But the reason was they'd started a 3-year deployment of Cisco Voice. We're having all kinds of issues. And finally, about the 2nd year into it, they said, help, we can't do this. And so they were trying to roll it out to the whole state, and it was really kind of a big mess for them. And so they're not faster, and then this idea that just as robust, right? So let's talk about that just for a second. There was a time when people my age and older, so me and Doug and those guys, I'm actually younger than I look. No way. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There was a time when you would come to your office in the morning, you'd flip on the light switch, lights always came on. Then you'd pick up the phone, you always had dial tone. They were like just absolute guarantees. Now, you'll do some weird, goofy stuff. Like you'll tell me something goofy like, you know, the internet's running kind of slow today. I contend with you that it is not. It's still running at the speed of light over fiber. The internet did not change. What changed is your experience with the internet might have changed. Like a program's not running well, like Windows decided today's the day for 36 updates. Like your Mac decided today's the day it's going to back up right in the middle of your presentation, which happened this morning. Yes, to me. And all of those sorts of things that sort of interfere with your experience with that, right? And so you don't always get dial tone. Sometimes things don't work quite right. Sometimes a circuit's cut, or that there's some problems or issues. So it isn't exactly this guarantee, pick up the phone, always get dial tone. But there was a day when I was a kid when that was absolutely true. Copper always worked. Unless somebody out in the yard cut the line, physically cut the line, it seemed like it always worked. So if the definition was it was going to be cheaper, faster, easier, and just as robust, then I'm here to tell you that that's all been an absolute lie. So why do we put up with it? If that's an absolute lie, why do we put up with it? Why do we put up with it?
He can tell you all about the decommissioning of the PSTN. But
Oh, yeah. No, we could get into, you know, they were all the same and then they broke apart and then they came back together and they keep changing the logo and it's got this many lines and it used to have that many lines. Let's talk about that some other time. But the truth of the matter is that we put up with it, and it's this windy, twisty, awful road, and that sometimes you get car sick along the way. And if you're this CIO driving this little Cooper, wow, off the edge, and it's more expensive than I expected, and all kinds of other problems. And so why do I put up with it? Because right up here at the top, the view is spectacular. What do I mean by that? Well, I've given you a chance now to be able to run voice on the data network, which is kind of cool, because now suddenly I can integrate with my Outlook. And I can do click to dial, and I can have my contact list kind of populate some stuff, and I can see presence, and I can IM people, and I can integrate that with my mobile, and I can do video, and I can do all these other great things. And so I'm willing to put up with some of the pain and suffering and difficulty to get it, because I think it's going to be worth it when I get there. The other thing that's happened is we've lowered all of your expectations. And you know how we did that? I gave you one of these. And if you don't think that's true, it wasn't intentional, but this has absolutely lowered your expectation. Here's what I mean by that. You're driving down the freeway, you're talking to boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, most important person in the world, right? Maybe it's your boss. Really important. Starts to get a little crackly, you just hang up on that person like with no care in the world. Like, bye. They were about to say, and then tonight when you get home, we're gonna, oh, you drive 100 yards? Oh, sorry, baby. Bad cell call, I don't know. You know, what's going on? What were you saying? You were saying, last thing I heard you were about to say, or you're talking to your boss and he's like, hey, you know what, performance review time and da-da-da. Call back, what was that, Roger? What were you saying? You were saying something about me getting the big raise this year? That's awesome, right? We have no tolerance for bad call quality, generally, but we've lowered our expectations. We've expected that it's going to fail some of the time. So again, I ask you, why are you willing then to put up with not always reliable service on this? Doug, what does your phone do for you that's more than a phone? What else does it do?
Gets me on the internet.
Okay.
To manage my calendar.
Calendar, internet, awesome. Is it your MP3 player? Does it play music?
Sure.
Okay, do you watch videos on it?
Sometimes.
In fact, these new ones are big enough for us guys that, you know, it wasn't that my eyes weren't good enough, it was my arm wasn't long enough. But now that this thing's big enough, I can see Netflix again. Yay! And it's my camera, and it does all of these amazing things. So I'm willing to put up with some of that baloney because of all the things I get. Again, I'm willing to put up with the fact that they absolutely lied to me about what the truth about unified communications was because of all the things I get or I anticipate getting. And that's the truth. And so they've lowered the expectations. So for the next 45 minutes, do you mind, since I have the clicker, if I just go ahead and change the definition of what success in unified communications really means? Here's what it means. Suspend that it's going to be cheaper, faster, easier, and more robust. None of those things are true. All of them are actually the opposite. Here's the real definition, according to me. Then again, I have the clicker. Here's the new definition. Ready? Talk to who I want, when I want, on the device I want, and make it seamless and easy. talk to who I want, when I want, on the device I want, and make it a great user experience. That's the new definition. And if we follow that definition, then we can actually have a meaningful conversation. So the truth of the matter is, it's tough. It's tough. And oh, by the way, your job's hard, and I know it, and you know it, and the customer does not care. We need to suspend the fact that they don't care. Do you think my kids have any idea that when they do a FaceTime call to grandma, that somehow that's going through Comcast, because that's what I have at home, and then somehow it goes to space, and then it goes over, and they have I don't know what, and then it goes down to Idaho and travels twice around the globe, and it all works, and they're like, whatever, they don't care. Your customer's just like, they do not care how hard your job is. You tell them one more thing about protocol, or a router this, or a switch that, or a whatever, and they're going to tell you, get out of here. I don't care about that. What they care about is that even if it is this, it feels like this. It has to be smooth, it has to be easy, it has to work. User experience has to work. We once had an IT guy who said, hey, I just set up that new VPN, and we've got our sales CRM, and you just connect this way, and when you're out on the road, you do it like this, and I tried it twice in a hotel room, and it never worked, and I came back and said, your system's garbage. He's like, well, yeah, but we had this problem where we had this protocol thing, and I'm like, it doesn't work. If it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work, and I don't care, Tim, how hard your job is. Get over it, right? Just make it feel like this. And I'm fairly technical. There are people below me who are like, yeah, I couldn't even boot my computer on. Like, well, okay, so maybe you can't work there. But it has to feel like this, right? It has to feel like this. You need some proof. Gartner says 80% of all UC investments are done without an overarching strategy or roadmap. 1 out of 5 has a strategy and a roadmap. 4 out of 5, no idea why we're putting this in. What does that sound like? Sounds like this. Hey, the boss came to me today, and he said that we're going to do a new video conferencing project, and the reason we're going to do it is so you guys don't have to travel so much. We're going to save all this money. It's going to have a great ROI. We're going to be more collaborative. We're going to screen share. We're going to do all this stuff. Awesome. Is that a good idea? Yes. I'm not sure that we have the right infrastructure to support that. I'm not sure we've done QoS tagging properly to make that actually work. I'm not sure about our VPN. In fact, if you try to connect link through the VPN, you double encrypt it, and that's actually going to really suck. Oh, by the way, I'm not sure if we have the right hardware for the road warriors, and what about the guys at home? And do we have enough bandwidth, right? And let's start asking all the appropriate questions to find out if this is a great idea. But most of the time, that's not how it works. We just say, hey, we're just going to do this. This is going to be awesome. Well, what are all the ramifications? Well, they're vast. And if you put in the system half-vast, it's not going to work very well. And so you really need to figure out if we can really do what it is we think we can do. And if you think about this, and I really mean this sincerely, if you think about the fact that 4 out of 5 go in without a plan, they need you to be the expert that says, I got it. I got this. Mike can walk into a company and say, I got it. I got it. Because I know you're going to struggle with some of these things, and I've been down this road before, and I know where the pitfalls are, and I know where the difficulties are. I got it. I can help you. I can help you from the architectural perspective. I can help you from the analytical perspective. I can help you with actually boots on the ground and actually make this work. I got it. Because almost everybody is clueless. And I'm talking about when I work with Fortune 100 companies like Fujitsu and others around the globe who don't know how to do this stuff. Amazon is meeting with me on Monday.